activity that John Dramani Mahama and the rest of the campaign team will be engaging in is the 24-hour economic sensitization walk, and it is one of the activities that the Ashanti Region Executives of the NDC have lined up for John Dramani Mahama. He'll be addressing the people at the KJTR market. At the moment, things are very difficult for some of the people, so she's expecting a president who will ensure that the economy is put in its right place to help these traders. Market, or they were able to sell and make some money. Unfortunately, after this market was pulled down for the second phase of the KJTR market, things are very bad. Unfortunately, the second phase has also stalled.
And so up to now, by some months in here. Some months in here, to me, bench, Omni and year. In if it's on one kaya crampo to me.
Hundreds of supporters of the National Democratic Congress have poured onto the streets of Kumasi to participate in the 24-hour economic sensitization walk. Presently, the people are at the KJTR market, and as you can see, a number of them with in party colors, some with vuvuzelas, and they are all here excited about John Mahama's presence in the Ashanti region.
Say nipa nfuna omonkwa enso bebre prae na abanwe yenya vice president obeshe bose ombesa be siesie edwano se na be ya obetimi edigwa ewo ho ene be begyina ha yi be hwesro ho na me hwe omo ho a be ya reho. And just say, a border is saying, no, you so. And Mokama come to you. And this is Baba. Yaba, a young Yadia. Yaba, everybody says,
From the NDC to the NPP, as campaigning heats up for the parliamentary primaries in the Ashanti region, political scientist Dr. Mache Boateng has admonished delegates to critically scrutinize candidates. The Bantama and Shayeso and Tafopankorno are among constituencies blazing for the toughest contest on Saturday. Nana Boachi Adam has a spotlight on these constituencies where incumbent MPs are expected to face firm opposition.
In the Ashanti region, Bantama, Shayeso, and Tafopankorno are some key constituencies where incumbent MPs are expected to face tough competition in the MPP parliamentary primaries. The Bantama constituency has witnessed intensive internal contests where incumbent MPs lose after their first term in parliament. Incumbent Francis Asensubuachi, who has been in parliament for one term, is however optimistic of victory.
The fiercest competition, I believe, was between myself and Honorable Kokofu. That was the fiercest as far as I'm concerned. This one for me is not it's a no match. When you go to the constituency, those who are voting, they see a big difference, like a difference between a VIP bus and Pragia. That is the difference. It's a no match. I don't see this as a competition at all, because it will take a nation record to choose my opponent over me, given the unprecedented levels of development I've brought in Bantama against an opponent who has no record of active service to the party and to the competition. It will never happen in Bantama.
Raphael Japan is the unwavering opponent of Francis Asensubuachi, eyeing to unseat him from parliament.
He's an MP who can't even socialize with people. He's perceived to be arrogant, but now I agree with them. because he talk as if he's, you know, the chief of the world, calling himself VIP, and then me Aboboya, and then I'm visionless. Hey, excuse me.
Confident of his victory, Raphael shared his vision for the constituency.
Whatever I'm saying is genuine. I will not come to you, talk to you, and then just for the sake of asking you for your vote. I have a genuine heart for Bantama constituency, and I've been doing this over time. That's why you made mention of the fact that I have gained popularity over a short period. No, I have been in these constituencies, God knows when, the time I was born. And they know me, I interact with them. Anytime I'm out of Accra and I'm in Kumasi, I'm with Bantama people. They know what I've done for people who are seeking to get school fees to pay their tuition, medical fees, medical money for medicine and all that. A lot of them.
The decision of Dr. Emmanuel Kwabnama not to return to Parliament has opened up the Ofori-Krom constituency for a tough contest. 5 candidates have been cleared by the party to contest Saturday's polls. One of the leading candidates in the Ofori-Krom primary, Michael Edu, has described his victory as an apparent phenomenon. There's more in this report.
The New Patriotic Party is working towards its agenda of Break the 8. Around constituencies, machinery and tactics are being employed in hopes of raising the party's numbers in the December 7th elections. The Ofori-Krom Party office has received logistics for effective party work gearing up for December's elections. A candidate in the Ofori-Krom Parliamentary primary, Michael Edu, has distributed 22 motorcycles to the 22 polling stations of the constituency. He says the gesture is to cement his obligations as a candidate seeking to represent the Ofori-Krom constituency.
When it comes to elections, you need logistics to move around. You know, one of the main activities that the party does is doing door-to-door campaigning. And when you don't have the logistics, it's quite difficult to move around various communities and neighborhoods. So with these motorbikes, I believe that we'll be able to garner the support that we need. We'll be able to enter the very difficult places that are difficult to reach. It will also speed up our processes in terms of the final day operations, in collecting of our pink sheets and other party strategies and operations. Today we have all the elders of the party here. We have the constituency executives. We have all the delegates, most of the delegates present here, representing every electoral area. So this shows the level of acceptance that I have within the constituency. The delegates have accepted and believed in my hard work, and they also believe that I can advocate well for the party and represent the party well in the Ofori-Krom constituency. We are going to win these elections. We don't want anybody to fall into any issues, no cause for alarm. They should be calm and resolute behind me. 27, they should go march peacefully.
The Ofori-Krom NPP constituency chairman, Anthony Amankwa, says breaking the 8 should be.
Political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asa Asante, has expressed disagreement with the Electoral Commission's decision to stop the use of indelible ink. Dr. Asa Asante also says, though he doesn't have a problem with the proposal to change the date of election from December 7 to November 7, he disagrees with the EC with the proposal to declare the day a holiday. The Electoral Commission has justified its proposal to shift the voting date for both the presidential and parliamentary elections to November 7. The EC is also advocating election days to be declared a national holiday. These proposals were presented during the Inter-Party Advisory Committee meeting on Monday. Deputy Chairman of the Commission in charge of corporate services, Dr. Bosman Asari, says the proposals stemmed from reforms presented by the political parties in 2015.
Actually, we discussed 2 things: changing the election date to a day possibly in November. Then, secondly, making the day of elections a public holiday. Those were the 2 main issues that were discussed yesterday.
And a public holiday was an acceptance of that.
Yes, because we made it clear to them that in 2020 we succeeded in making IPAC, and the Electoral Commission wrote to the Chief of Staff to work on making December 7, 2020 a public holiday. And we're able to have a very high voter turnout. we gave a reason that the time for the EC to work on organizing the elections within 3 weeks will be very, very tight. And beyond that, the time for the inauguration, you have a new government and an old government living office, the time will be too short. So we gave those reasons for why we think that what was adopted in 2015 will still be relevant in 2024. So we told the parties that it came from them, they should support, so that all of us will work in tandem to ensure that we are able to change, have enough days in the event of a runoff, we'll be able to implement it successfully.
We can now listen to senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Asa Asante, who disagrees with the proposal for election day to be made a holiday.
There's nothing wrong with it. Once it's a proposal that is coming from the stakeholders, it shouldn't be difficult for us to accept, because by the time they propose, they have done all the groundwork. So they are convinced that that period is safe and it can support our cause. That's where I have a difficulty, because, you know, you can, over the years, we have been voting without a holiday. So why do you want to dedicate that day solely for voting without doing any business of government? I think it affects our productivity. And for me, we are getting too many holidays, and it doesn't support the cause of a country that wants to build capacity. And we move on in this globalized world. So I think that, yes, the first proposal is okay. You want to change the date and then put it in November. Well, but for a holiday, I think I have my different view.
The UK Prime Minister is set to host the 2024 edition of the UK African Investment Summit, taking place from the 23rd to 24th of April in London. The summit, which will bring together heads of states and businesses from 25 African countries, aims at strengthening UK-African partnerships for job creation and economic development. Speaking on the AM show, envoy for the UK African Investment Summit, Dr. Alistair MacPhail, indicated the summit goes beyond just investing in Africa, but also aims at creating a system of mutual benefit between the UK and Africa.
We have invited 25 countries at the level of head of state or government. We are inviting a lot of businesses, because this really is about jobs and growth. And our government is determined that we should be building modern, long-term partnerships of mutual benefit based on respect. Well, the summit will be about jobs and growth. And so we hope that by creating deals which are of mutual benefit, that the financial difficulties that a number of countries are facing will not be completely addressed, but they will be lessened in some way by the fact that there will be new deals bringing investment into the country, creating jobs for the future, modern jobs that will operate in a different way. So the UK is a leading advocate of reform of the international financial system, but that's not the focus of the summit. The summit is about jobs and growth, and if Ghana or another country is an attractive investment destination, then those deals will happen.
Residents of Sebrepor in the Katamanso municipality are resisting planned construction and operation of a filling station in their community. The residents deemed the siting of the facility as a danger to safety and security in the area, with reference to the June 3 fire and flood disaster. Executive member of the Sebrepor Zone 3 Landlords and Ladies Association, Charles Dubin, addressed a news conference at Kakasonanka. Number 2, here's more from correspondent Kwame Yanka.
The aggrieved residents say siting of the fuel station poses a great risk to hundreds of school children at Christ the King Presi Primary and JHS and the church, which are 3 houses away from the site. They added that the filling station, being a few meters away from the base ammunition depot of Michelle Camp could spell doom in the event of an explosion, as the depot experienced a blast about 4 years ago. Although these residents since September 2023 have drawn attention of authorities to the potential dangers of the station, their cries have fallen on deaf ears. Executive member of the Sevreport Zone 3 Landlords and Ladies Association, Charles Dubin, indicated they have informed Ponkatamanso Municipal Chief Executive Samuel Oku-Amankwa and others who matter.
We are giving the authorities 2 weeks from today. If they don't halt the project, the residents association, the citizens of this community, is going to demonstrate against the government, the authorities, the MCE, the commanding officer of Michelle Camp, the commanding officer of BAD, because we've already written to them. So we are giving them 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, if we see anybody in that construction site, the resident is going to mobilize and then go against them. We will never allow anybody to come to the site and work.
Assembly member for the area, Prince Jacob Ajovo, shares his frustration in getting the Ponkatamanso Municipal Assembly to act.
So at a point in time, the complaint came up. There's a filling station going on here. We took time to confirm that. We sent this complaint to the committee in assembly with security and justice with a report. At our very last general meeting and assembly before the year ended, this issue came up. And we said that the community is against the siting of this station here. Therefore, what they want is that the thing should be temporarily halted until there's enough proof that really took permission from the appropriate authorities. In fact, if you take this write-up, the last page, you will see the conditions that must be met before such permit is given. And we don't think that those conditions have been met.
Resident Bright Seshi is worried over the deafening silence of state institutions and authorities.
Yes. When you branch, a car is negotiating, you are negotiating this curve and the car is coming out. How can you control yourself? Are you supposed to run? Are you going to run into the school, or you run into the houses, or you run into the car? What is happening? The military base is just here, BAD. We were told that this is where the whole Ghana, this is where our bombs are kept. There's concrete evidence, it's just here. Relies on here.
Meanwhile, representative of the Chief of Sebrepo, Emmanuel Aite, warned that the traditional authorities will not sit unconcerned for the spot to be used for a fuel station.
Must be halted immediately. Other than that, those who have received the letter sent to them will come and find dead bodies here. The message I brought from the chief is anything detrimental to the security and life of his subjects here must be stopped immediately. He didn't give the land for a filling station. He gave the land to late Sami Agbowoka, a retired military man, who resold part of the land to a developer. And the one who bought the land from the late military man might have also sold it back to a developer who is now putting up this sort of structure. So the divisional house is not aware that this thing is being developed.
When Municipal Chief Executive for Ponkatamanso, Samuel Oku-Amankwa, was contacted, he declined to speak on the matter. The residents have so far written to Environmental Protection Agency, Intema, Ghana National Fire Service at Bechile, General Manager of ECG, Tema Region, District Manager of ECG, Ashaman District, and Chief of Sebrepo. The rest are Greater Accra Regional Minister, the Chief of Defence Staff of Ghana Armed Forces, Commanding Officer of 1st Infantry Battalion, Michelle Camp, Base Ammunition Depot, and the Police Commander for Pong District. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy News.
So live on JoyNews today, let's take a break. When we return, it's business.
Across Africa, a new era has begun, shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future, together. EcoBank, a better way, a better Africa.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see F-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Great afternoon to you and a warm welcome to the business segment on Joy News. Today with me, Pius Kojobaka, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, UFI Grant, says a digitalized informal sector will enhance revenue identification and collection. According to him, the new global tax law will create the needed tax equity for both foreign and domestic businesses. He's been speaking to Joy Business.
I mean, tax is a sovereign right of every country, and every country charges taxes. And on the joking side, I mean, any tax is always a problem everywhere because we believe that we are overtaxed. But indeed, I think what has triggered this response is the fact that our tax administration has become a bit more aggressive. But if you compare to other jurisdictions, you'd wonder why our tax rates is so low. Probably less than 16% of GDP compared to the OECD where it's over 25%, and even some of our peers in West Africa, which is above 16%. And so you say that then there must be a gap somewhere. Now, there are two ways. Either we are not collecting the right taxes, or we haven't widened our net enough to be able to, collect the taxes. But as I mentioned to you, the structure of our economy makes it difficult when 85% of your economy is SMEs and SMIs, and a lot of them are informal. And so with digitalization, the view is that we can formalize them and then collect the right taxes and broaden the tax net, as well as collect the right taxes. And I think that is what's important. And in that sphere, I'm not sure the investors are saying they won't pay taxes. No, they will pay taxes. And there's the new global tax law, which says that regardless of where you are, you should pay a minimum tax of 15%. So the question is that they will be taxed.
Goyle PLC has extended support to the victims of the Akonsobo Dam spillage to alleviate the plight of displaced individuals. Group CEO and Managing Director of Goyle PLC, Kwame Osei-Prempeh, said the move is to give back to communities it operates in. Now, he spoke to Joy Business during the presentation of a check of 150,000 cedis to the Member of Parliament for the North Town constituency, Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa.
The initiative is to reduce the difficulties faced by the affected individuals and families and exemplify Goyle's commitment to fostering meaningful connections and actively contributing to the welfare of the communities within which it operates.
In October last year, the day he woke up to very sad news of overspillage of the Akonsobo Dam, which caused many deaths and rendered thousands of Ghanaians homeless. We know that many responsible state institutions have come to your aid, and Goyle, being one of the most respected companies in Ghana, cannot stay out of. So we decided from last year that we had to make a donation to mitigate your suffering.
Member of Parliament of the North Town constituency, Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa, expressed his admiration for Goyle Ghana's thoughtful intervention.
And we want to emphasize that this is no mean a donation. It is a very huge one, and we deeply appreciate it. We have set up a trust of a sort where an account has been created. The chiefs, and then we appointed Professor Imanoneche Afedo, who is very good at disaster management. He is chairing the trust we call the Accountability Elders Council. So we want to assure you that this check will be paid into that fund, and it is administered very transparently. All our chiefs are part of the process, the deliberations, and they decide on how it should be administered.
And that's it for business. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Sports is next.
We've had news file over the weekend, and an interesting part of the conversation focused.
Oh no, we are out of range.
Oh, don't worry, Daddy. I have Alexa in my bag.
Alex, what?
Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana and play Joy FM.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
Listen to Joy FM, Hits FM, Love FM, live on your Amazon Echo. Listen to your favorite multimedia radio stations live on your Amazon Echo device by saying, Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana, play Joy FM or Hits FM or Love FM. Or catch up on your favorite podcast by saying, Alexa, play, and then the name of your favorite podcast from Multimedia Ghana. For a list of all podcasts available, say Alexa. Ask Multimedia Ghana to browse programs.
And we are back like we never lost signal.
Alexa, welcome to Multimedia.
The best gift you can give a loved one is good health. The Love FM Fitness Walk is the only platform which prevents this exclusive opportunity to walk with your friends, partner, granny, kids, abongo, empna, obia, ukunu, schoolmate, etc. to stay healthy. Banks, insurance companies, construction companies, hospitals, schools, security services, various fitness groups. Come and let's shake off the stress. Start looking for your walking kit and let's hit the streets of Kumasi to de-stress, exercise, and burn some calories. You can also send us a minute video. Shijama Kakra, Yedede Kakra, as cooperating institutions, groups, or individual declaring your readiness to partake in the walk. Stay with Love 99.5 FM and Inshra 104.5 FM and get more details on the walk. Or call 0245 594 425 for inquiries. Remember, Fitness Walk is on Saturday, 3rd February 2024 at the Kumasi City Mall, 6 a.m. Shut
As for the marriage, you get the certificate before you get into the marriage, so you don't know what is ahead of you.
What would make your partner walk out of the relationship?
Probably when he finds me cheating.
No. So, come on, if you handle the body or what? What's his waist size?
It's in the end there. When I get home, I'll explain it.
Also, Papa, 2 years or so, and 3 years ago, I say, I can't pray.
And you want to go into politics? You
want to go into politics?
Not 5 years.
Not 5 years.
Right. If you love me right.
Welcome to the sports segment on JN Today. My name is Haruna Mbarak. Now, Ghana FA says they will announce a roadmap for the future of the Black Stars technical direction in the coming days. This follows the dismissal of Chris Hughton as Ghana coach and the dissolution of the entire technical team. My colleague Kwesi Adai Kwatin has been getting reactions from some Ghanaians about the decision.
It can be a good news, but I think that is what should happen. A coach was given a chance, to perform, as it were. I don't know the contract that the government had with him, the GFA had with him, but they gave him an assignment that do this for us. So if you don't do it, you need to be sacked. So I don't have any problem him being sacked. Now, if you look at our players, most of them are playing abroad. They are foreign players, right? So what does the coach teach them when they come to camp? Because the coach has to teach them his strategy, what they should do for him to win matches. And it never happened. So I'm not surprised he has been sacked anyway. Ghana needs to sit up and get a very good coach, either from the English Premiership, from the Spanish La Liga, or the Italian Serie A. Get a coach. We should be able to pay them instead of throwing the money in the garbage. Pay them well and let them do the job for you.
If the GFA sacks the coach, they should sack them. They should also sack themselves. They should also sack themselves because they are part of the problem. Listen to me. You see, when it's a teamwork. Are you getting me? The coach cannot work in isolation. There should be support between the support from the GFA. Are you getting me? So they give support that they think they can give. But when it comes to psychological support, the ones that they should do to push him up, is not there. It's not there.
So you think sacking him will not solve our problem?
If we sack the coach and we bring another coach, if we don't change our attitude, if the control, the influence, if we don't stop it, we will come back to the same problem.
I think it's normal. Every coach can be sacked. But when we look at the content, why do we sack the coach? Is it the performance of the players or is coach error? One thing we should look at that. So I don't see why we should sack the coach. There is something you need to resolve it within the team, okay? Where he did his best as a coach. He has given a role to play as a coach. So what do you expect from the coach? Is expecting the players to do what? To produce what he has shown you on the pitch. So on the field of play, coach has nothing got to do with players.
It's a very good decision for them to sack the coach because it's not the tactics and everything doesn't work for the team. So there's a need for them to sack the coach. And I think it's a very nice decision. Okay. They have to dissolve the technical team and everything for them to restart everything again.
It's good that they have sacked the coach because we need a perfect coach. But it's not perfect. How he arranged the players is not good. You need to find a good player so that they can play the game well. But the coach, those who are not good, no.
That's your sports on JM Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Up next is World News.
Changat was making headlines, and heavy fighting is underway in central Somalia after Al-Shabaab militants attacked military bases in Matug region. Eyewitnesses say they heard heavy gunfire and explosions at dawn on Wednesday. The attack reportedly began with a suicide bombing targeting government special forces. Galmudug Security Minister Mohammed Abdi Aden told the BBC troops are still battling the militants in village where the military bases are located. The Somali National News Agency reports the army, with the help of locals, thwarted the attack, inflicting heavy losses on terrorists. But Al-Shabaab said it seized the 5 military bases and killed dozens of soldiers. The Somali Federal Forces have since August 2022 been conducting a major offensive against the Al-Qaeda-linked group. That does it for World News, but before we go, let's take you to the conference center because the Ghana Science and Tech Explorer Prize G-Step Challenge, where over 100 junior high school teams are showcasing their prototype projects dedicated to tackling societal issues, is underway. This afternoon, we'll put a spotlight on projects addressing waste and climate change. Now, let's cross over to the Accra International Conference Center, where Joy Prime's Shola Adeyemi is on the ground to bring us the exciting details. Shola, what more can you report from the Accra International Conference Center?
Prize challenge is happening. Now, we said that the contestants here, or those people here to show us their prototypes, are actually, they've been tasked to go into their communities, look into it, see challenges that people are facing, and come up with prototypes, to, help solve these issues. Now, behind me is a team. These people are focusing on, solving waste issues in the community, and I'm going to speak into them very, very shortly. Hello, guys, what's your name?
Hello, we are Team Brentech all the way from Eastern Region.
Now, earlier I was saying that G-Step gives you teams the chance to go into the community and identify, challenges and then come up with good solutions for them. So I see in front of me, what is the name of this prototype here?
This our prototype is the automated gutter cleaning system.
So what does it do and what are the components?
Our automated gutter cleaning system is designed to pick rubbish from the gutter. It creates space for water to flow, improving the drainage system.
Right. So with this, how does it work? I want to see how it works.
Okay.
So it's made up of components such as the solar panel, the power bank. The solar panel works during the day and the power bank during the night. And also you have our PVC pipes here, our gutter here, our trash bin here. So as it's being stretched on, the rakes on the conveyor belt starts moving and starts picking up the rubbish here and drops it into the trash can without any human interference of using manual tools like shovels to get into the gutter and use it to dig up the rubbish from.
So you heard them. This and more is happening here at the Accra International Conference Center. A lot of the contestants or the teams here today have come up with very, very genius innovations to help solve societal issues. As I said, they are taxed to do so. So yes, if you want to pass by, you're free to come here at the Accra International Conference Center. We are here to the close of the day because we are going to be seeing a lot more of the innovations. Please do stay. Do not go anywhere.
And that's the wrap of the bulletin this afternoon. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. One of the stories you will see, we don't support the November date for elections. That's according to NDC Communications, Director of Elections, Dr. Boama. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.
stories. That's what we tell each other every day. At Joy News, we tell your story. You have a story the world should know about? Tell it to Joy News. We are your home of bold, credible, and fearless journalism. I am Emefa Apau.
How come say we all day my time inside, we all they suffer? Something they cause me, they cause you, they cause your son and daughter. Where we all feel come together and try to sort each other. Then you go turn around and sell out just because of dollar. Managers, they think how fast he go fetch up something today. Forget about him, people, make them find them our own way. Forgetting, say the same people put on for where he day. He cast too high to see suffering below, he's too far away. Them get eyes, but them know they see. Them get heart, but them know they feel. Some too they get mind, but them know they think. That be why we all day inside a boat where we they sink. I say them get eyes, but them know they see. Them get heart, but them know they feel. Some too they get mind, but them know they think. That be why we all day inside a boat where we they sink. Myopia, they know they see nothing. Ice cold heart, they know they feel nothing. Bad minds, all they know they think about you. That be why we all day inside a boat where we they sink. I say myopia, they know they see nothing. Ice cold heart, they know they feel nothing. Bad minds, all they know they think about you. That be why we all day inside a boat where we they sink. Oh. I say them get ice, but them know they see. Them get hot, but them know they.
Why was he waiting to be sacked? Anyway, what about the future? The GFA has announced that even the entire backroom staff or technical staff has been dissolved. In other words, they're now putting together a roadmap on the future of the Black Stars. What should that future look like? Where should we be looking? In what direction should we be looking in our attempt to find a replacement for Chris Hughton? Then there's also the big issue of who takes responsibility on the FA side, because there are people that say just sacking the manager is only 5% of the solution. What about everything else that has contributed to our systematic failure? Who is dissolving the dissolver? Okay, the GFA say they've dissolved the technical team, but who is dissolving the dissolver? Or in other words, who is taking responsibility at the GFA? And what are the consequences for supervising now back-to-back Afcon embarrassment? Someone at the GFA should be taking responsibility and be stepping down. Why isn't that happening? It's a question we will ask here on the show. Elsewhere at the Afcon, of course, the shocks just keep on rolling on. This is turning out to be probably the best Afcon ever. Somebody said this Afcon is the Obianyobia Afcon. It doesn't matter your pedigree. If you're not good, the actual football will expose you. And Algeria found that out yesterday. They have been kicked out of the competition by Mauritania. And Mauritania beat them by 1-0. And that was their first ever win at the Afcon. And he somehow ended up kicking Algeria out of the tournament. They finished bottom of their group with just the 2 points from their first 2 draws. And there is, of course, consequences for that. Head coach Jamal Belmadi reports out that he's stepping down from his role after such a long time. He led them to Afcon victory in 2019, but they've now suffered back-to-back exits in the group stages of the Afcon. So we'll look back at the action from yesterday as well. There were so many other games, dramatic action in the game between Cameroon and Guinea. We'll talk about the Gambia, I beg your pardon, we'll talk about that, which also resulted in the Gambia coach, Tom Sanford, deciding he's seen enough in the Smiling Coast. And now he's smiling his way out of the Gambia. The show is live and interactive and is sponsored, of course, by MTN. MTN everywhere you go. We'll take a really, really short break. When we come back, I will introduce my guest and we can zoom straight into the action. Welcome back. You're watching Afcon today, of course, on the JoyNews channel and on the Joy Prime channel. You're also listening to us on 99.7 Joy FM. My name is Fento Tahiru Fento. Welcome to the show. Achu Tamaklo and, of course, Kojo Jima are here with me, guys. How you doing?
Very well.
Very well, huh?
Yeah.
Yesterday, we spoke about Chris Hughting.
Yeah.
Kojo, you said the entire technical team had to be dissolved. You got your wish. Now what?
Well...
You got your wish.
I actually got a lot of wishes. So first wish is granted. I think the biggest wish that if you speak to every Ghanaian on the street of Ghana, you know, it doesn't matter wherever town or city you talk to anyone, the GFA has a big problem. There has to be a total revolution in the GFA because, I mean, we both know it, everyone knows it. And you ask 5 Ghanaians, 5 out of 5, everyone is going to talk about Mr. Peltokoski. Well, the reason why he was given the mandate, obviously, was to build Ghana football. But we know the numbers. The stats don't lie. Ghana football has declined to the highest. So I don't get it if you get rid of the manager and you stay in affairs. The reason why you were given the mandate was to transform Ghana football to the next level, to bring us up again. One of the promises he gave Ghanaians was that he was going to market the team very well and then bring that whole new phase of Ghana football. As we speak now, I don't think we've seen a quarter of what he said. And so for me, Mr. Peltokoski needs to step down. He needs to do the honourable thing.
We're saying the GFA president has to step down.
He absolutely has no business in that office.
It's not the first time, to be fair, that an FA president has resigned because of a poor showing of the country's national team. It's an example that abounds all around the world. Actually, isn't that correct?
It is. I think the most recent on the continent will be some 5 years ago. Egypt's the president did not go alone. The entire executive council, they in good conscience of the circumstance and their inability to deliver success, all felt responsible and they took responsibility. They resigned and walked away. But we also have to be realistic enough to admit the reality of our situation. Peltokoski does not feel accountable to Ghanaians. The executive council, same. They don't believe in such principles as assuming responsibility. And my guess is this: if you speak to any of them, it will be difficult for them to admit their role in the mess that we're in. Yeah. And so these are the kind of people that we're dealing with. Under normal circumstances, yes, I'd call for their resignation. And the normal circumstances, you would expect that...
They probably should have left before.
Long before, yes. By now, you should have had a statement from the GFA admitting the severity of our situation. And not just the... I have spoken consistently.
They haven't even apologized for the poor showing.
I have spoken.
It's like business as usual.
Yep.
Nobody has.
You
said
remember
anything.
the interview on Asempa 2 years ago after the Afcon, when Peltokoski, dead Ghanaians, and essentially arrogantly said, if there are Messis and Ronaldos elsewhere, point me in the direction and we'll bring them into the team. But he is... That's the
sort of... We didn't have players, and the best is what we presented.
Exactly. If this was a country where we do things right, if the guys in charge run with sound management principles, with very progressive ideas, what would have happened is that in this moment, you would see an admission of culpability. You would also see they pointing out what they believe to be wrong. Mm-hmm. They may not be right all the time about what has led us here, but you will see an attempt to admit and a certain realization of the things, the mistakes that have led us here. More importantly, you will see the solution. So perhaps after this, you will then see them roll out policies, have a consultation with the government, show them their plan for youth football development. And that bit is important because without a solid base, the Black Stars will not be competitive. It is not a coincidence that since 2015, when our youth football has not plateaued, but has taken a nosedive, the fortunes of the Black Stars have been the same. So the two work and walk hand in hand. And it is my suggestion that, look, if we want to make any kind of progress, we have to admit that our football is dead. It is not dying, it is dead.
And reboot, start from the basics.
Start from the basics and look at how you can ensure that you are influencing the talent developments at a very early age, to the extent that when you watch the...
And that you are in control.
Exactly.
And not leaving anything to chance.
Not leaving anything.
Football is scientific.
Exactly. I mean, these are products, right? If you are not adding value to the talents that God has blessed you with, you will not be competitive on the market because others are doing that. Just to conclude, yesterday, I saw the next batch of the youth teams that have been invited to Pram for the Black Satellites. And the question I asked myself was this: what happened to the team that Lai Kingston led to Serbia, that won that tournament then, only a year ago? Why have we discarded that team? And now the Starlets team, because by now, the bulk of that team should be promoted.
Yes, they should be 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. So they should be playing in the Africa Games.
In the Black Satellites team, why have we discarded that team? And in the last 3 or 4 months, have invited over 200 players to the Black Satellites camp. So
that's the team we are preparing for the Africa.
So that kind of disconnects the lack of continuity.
It seems a little haphazard to me.
You cannot do that. When you do that, the end product is that you will not be able to promote even one player from any of those teams into the Black Stars. So you will pick some disjointed group.
Suspicion that a lot of the players named in the squad play or belong to clubs owned by the people.
It is not a suspicion. It is a matter of fact.
Because the clubs we know, we see a number of them in the team.
Where they come from?
Disproportionate number.
These days, you're seeing teams like Benab gain a lot of prominence. Since 2019, Benab FC, Golden Kicks. You're seeing...
Wait, that team belongs to Benab Oil? Maybe? Okay. Very well. We will talk about what to do next. The GFA said that they will, in the coming days, release a roadmap for the future of the Black Stars. What exactly they intend to do, we all don't know. What we know for sure is that they've gotten rid of Chris Hughting and his entire backroom staff. And you might not believe that Chris Hughton is the problem, but Chris Hughton was a problem, okay? And this is why. In the 13 matches that he's taking over, that he's taking charge of in the Black Stars team, Chris Hughton has played 13 matches, as you can see. He's won 4 of those games. He's drawn 5 of them, and 4 of them have ended in defeats. Chris Hughton has a win rate of 32%. That is the lowest win rate of all the coaches Kedekroku has hired. And we will show the comparative graphics and tell you what the win rate was like for CK Akono, what the win rate was like for Milovan Rahivac, what the win rate was like under Otoado, and what it's like under Chris Hughton. In that period, Chris Hughton has scored, or his team has scored 13 goals, and they have conceded 16. This is a Black Stars team that in the past was a dominant force. They score a lot of goals. There's never one time where the Black Stars have had a goal difference, a negative goal difference. That is our reality now. Yeah. That the manager has taken charge of 13 matches, and in that period, the Black Stars have a negative goal difference of -3. We kept only 4 clean sheets in 13 matches. In other words, in 9 of those games, we have watched our team concede goals. And they shipped in 16 goals in just 13 matches. That's just how bad it was. Yeah. Now, for recency's sake, I'm going to take you to the Afcon and tell you about the 3 games that Chris Hughton played at the Afcon. And tell you
just before you progress.
Yes.
In fairness to Chris Hughton, I think there were mitigating circumstances. And that's where I would say the main issue with Chris Hughton was that while he was not the problem, he could not provide the solutions that for which reason he was hired. Right. If you take your mind back to every Afcon that Ghana have participated in the modern era, the GFA has always hired auxiliary technical staff for the Black Stars coach. Herald News comes to mind. Jamie Jackson, or is it Lawrence Jackson? His name readily comes to mind. Often, one of the men who could succeed Chris Hughton, Hervé Renard, comes to mind. He was a physical instructor in 2008. But for whatever reason...
Hughton has all those people. He has a video analyst.
Before the tournament.
I'm saying, physical trainer. He has everything.
I'm saying that before major tournaments, the FA always hires supplementary technical staff.
I think it's probably also because in the past we didn't have them as standing members of the technical team. Now we do. They have a permanent video analyst. They have a permanent physical trainer. All of them are permanent staff now.
I'm saying that we have had them in the past, but the FA has gone out of its way to always find another layer of support for them. And I've given you examples, right? That happened. There was also the small matter of the whole disconnect between himself and the FA. Look, it is whatever we say about Chris Hughton and his shortfalls and his mistakes, and there were a lot of them, and I'm not saying this to justify his mistakes. He is responsible for
I'm still trying to understand how
I'm telling you that
for the negative goal difference and the win rate of 31%.
It doesn't. I'm just telling you that there were things that also made it very difficult for any other manager in Chris Hughton's position.
Very well. I think we established that because, like I said in my intro, I said while Chris Hughton was not the problem, he was a problem. And I think you just said exactly the same thing. Now, at the Afcon against Cape Verde, we lost by 2-1. We created 3 chances in the game. We had 1 shot on target in 90 minutes, which was the goal. We were outpossessed. Cape Verde outpossessed us by 53-47. We had less of the ball against Cape Verde. Our XG was 1.74. We were expected to score 1.7 goals based on the big chances that we created. We managed to score 1. We underperformed our XG. Cape Verde outpossessed Ghana and limited us to 1 shot on target in the whole match. and then beat us. In the game against Egypt, we drew 2-2. Big chances created, 0. But we scored 2 goals. You know why we scored 2 goals? Because those 2 goals were not chances, but they were converted into goals by the individual brilliance of Mohamed Kudus. We had 3 shots on target, and he had 2 of them, which, of course, he scored. In terms of goals we were supposed to score based on the quality of chances we created, we were not supposed to even score half a goal. It was 0.31 our XG against Egypt. That's how bad it was. And then against Mozambique, we drew 2-2. We created 2 big chances. Again, Egypt outpossessed us. Remember that, 42% possession was what we got. Egypt had 58%. Against Mozambique, we had only 39% of the ball. 39. Mozambique has 61% of the possession. And we have 4 shots on target with an XG of 1.79. So, when Chris Hughton says at his post-match press conference that in terms of his own output and putting the team in a position where they could win games, he feels he has failed. That I agree with him completely. He has failed, and not just failed, he failed spectacularly. Because these 3 games at the Afcon, the opponents played better than us in all 3 matches. We didn't deserve to win a single one of those matches based on our performance. We didn't create enough chances, and we conceded 6 goals in 3 games. We couldn't, so we are sitting back and we still couldn't contain the opposition from scoring. So what exactly was the coach's job? What did he do at this Afcon? So Chris Hughton, and actually is 100% right, that yes, he had issues, and the team had major issues even before he came in. But since he came in, the Black Stars have taken a step back. And numbers don't lie. Chris Hughton is the worst performing Black Stars coach we've had in the last 10 years. And if you're limiting it to only the coaches that the GFA, this current GFA administration has hired, Chris Hughton is the worst of the 4 of them. And I'll take you through that comparative graphic. They came into power in 2019, and they started by firing, of course, Kwesi Appiah, who had taken us to the Afcon in June 2019 in Egypt. And then by October, the elections were held. Kett and his people came into power, and then they fired Kwesi Appiah, and then they hired C.K. Akono. C.K. Akono supervised 10 matches. He won 4 of them, lost 4 of them, and then 2 of them ended in draws. So C.K. Akono had a win rate of 40%. He won 40% of the matches he played. We fired him after 10 games and brought on Milovan Rahivac. You remember that famous press conference? Petokreku said he likes his Milo. He likes Milo.
No more Matra Makwe.
He said no more Matra Makwe. A direct dig at C.K. Akono. In other words, claiming that Akono was an experimental coach. And now they've gone for an experienced hand that they believed would do the job. He lasted 8 matches, Milovan Rahivac, in his second term. He lost 3 games. He won only 3, and he drew 2 of them. He had a win rate of 38%. He was fired after the Afcon in 2022. We owe C.K. Akono. We still owe Milovan Rahivac as well. So all these decisions are coming at a cost to you, the taxpayer, to you and I. We haven't finished paying CK's compensation. We have not finished paying Milovan Rahivac's compensation. We brought in Otto Addo first as an interim coach, and then we gave him a 1-year contract extension so he could take us to the World Cup. He supervised 12 matches. He lost 4. He won 5 and then withdrew 3. He had a win rate of 42%. 42%. So, CK Akono, 40% win rate. Beloved Rivash, 38%. Otoado, 42%. And Chris Huting, 31%. So Huting has the lowest win rate of all the managers this administration has hired. And also take notice, Kwajo, 10 games for CK, 8 games for Milo, 12 games for Otoado, 13 matches for Chris Huting. Exactly an average. It works out to an average of 10 matches. So the lifespan for a Black Stars coach is 10 games.
Absolutely. We have to look at the structure. You know, one of the biggest problems that we're having now as a country in terms of the FA is because there's no formal blueprint of what manager comes in. We're getting a lot of all these managers come in and they play their own tactics. You know, there has to be a formal structure that the Black Stars and the national teams, the youth teams are developed through. So basically, we as a country, we know we generate a lot of midfielders. We know where do we lack? Do we want to generate right backs, left backs, defenders? Where is our side of weakness that we want to develop? All these managers come in, they decide to play any form of tactics they want to play. You cannot go to Brazil and decide to play a 4-5-1. You cannot go to the UK and decide to play any kind of system, except you stick to their 4-3-3 or 4-4-2. Why? Because the players are more adjustable to these type of systems. So if we talk about these managers per average 10 games, they last 10 games, and they win 3 and they lose 3 and they draw 3 and they draw 2, it's only because as a country we have failed in terms of the FA has no plan. What we keep doing is we keep hiring big names coming. I'm wondering who hired Otoado. Otoado has never been a coach. He was a scout.
And yet, he has the best win rate.
Because we went to the World Cup. And so, you know, the World Cup...
And we won only one game in the World Cup.
Exactly. And we won the big game against Nigeria
well, those were 2 draws, but yeah, sure, we qualified.
Well, fair enough. But that's what I'm saying. All these things that we keep talking about is what is letting Ghana down. We keep scratching the surface. Again, Fenty, we need to go back to the basics. Before we hire the next manager, the FA, whoever remains as the FA president, should have a blueprint. What is the way we want to play as a country? Because we need to remodel our players based on a system that's suitable for our players. What we're doing now, you see the system Chris Huting was playing. His favorite system has always been 4-2-3-1. It's not just Ghana. He's been playing this in the Premiership. Who plays 4-2-3-1 now? I bet you none of teams play 4-2-3-1.
Jose has abandoned it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
So
there you go. So if you have him
Jose
there...
went from 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1. Everybody's evolving.
Everybody's doing it now. And he keeps doing the same thing. So when Ashmiri goes off, he goes back to his mental state in terms of how he still wants to approach the game very pragmatically. And he puts in 2 pivot when he doesn't even need. And I ask myself, how then do we place Semenyo as a striker for Ghana? It's very abysmal. Look, Semenyo's never been a goal poacher. We need a goal poacher. You watch the structures, you watch the systems. I know there's a big, huge problem with the FA. But as a coach, I think he lacks a lot of misunderstanding about the team, the quality of the players, and his approach to games, and in-game management. All of it cuts through.
So he deserved to go.
So he deserved to go. But going forward, we have to go back, like we keep saying. The FA needs a blueprint. If Ghana wants to play a 4-4-2, of course, if a manager comes, he can do a variation of a 4-4-2 into a 4-1-4-1. But it should be in a system that's quite suitable so that we ingrain these principles in the youth teams so that it becomes more easier in transferring players through the process and bringing them up. Because at the moment, it's a big disparity and it's very shambolic. And I wonder if Ketokweku should be still the president today.
He's still the president. Actually, let's look ahead now. I think we all agree that the coach had to go. He's gone. I'm very surprised he didn't quit by himself. I'm not sure what he was waiting for, whether compensation or he was waiting for some miracle or I don't know, man. The GFA statement said that in the coming days, they'll put together a roadmap on the future of the Black Stars. From where you sit, what should be in that roadmap? What should we be doing before we appoint that next coach?
I don't trust the people who are going to put together the roadmap.
So what? We should just throw our arms in the air and give up?
They have failed in 5 years. They are not going to suddenly crack the code now. I don't trust them.
Because certainly there are question marks around their judgment, given the kind of coaches they've hired and the results.
You can't tell me that
the results get worse. The higher they aim for the coaches.
Yeah. With each appointment, a trigger happy. Look, our best bet at salvation of any kind will be government intervention, and more importantly, government involvement. And it is government job to develop sports in this country.
True.
It is government's job to provide the infrastructure and the framework for that to happen. And I would go as far as saying that given the size of the country and our limited resources, I think it will be government's job, and even the size of the football ecosystem, it is government's job to educate the resource persons who will develop talents and even run the sports in this country, or at least facilitate the education of those. And the issue at hand lies squarely within the remit of government. So long as you take a cedi from the consolidated fund to go and train the black meteors, the black maidens, it is your job to ensure that the people who are going to train those players will impart the best knowledge possible, that the circumstances or the conditions under which they are training are world class, will not in the end create an imbalance so that no matter how much money you pump in there, it will not make any difference. What has to happen, and indulge me on this for a bit, is for the government to realize that beyond littering the country with these youth and resource centers and the facilities that they are renovating, they need a plan, right? The bulk of these facilities that have been built are not even accessible. So if a kid wanted to play football, which playground will they have to go to and play there? So we need to find a way to connect the infrastructure that we are putting there
to talent development.
And education. In this moment, if you wanted to look at where the various districts, the clubs at the various districts want to train, say maybe a quality facility where they can access maybe for a fee and have some world-class tutors there imparting knowledge to them, you won't have any in this country. Look, what Right to Dream are doing, is it Mr. Sissoko, the former Liverpool player who is now an instructor there?
Yeah.
Michaelasian is at New Zealand. That is the way to go. The, excuse my language. Okay. The concepts, I'm being careful. The concepts that someone who studied sports science or physical education and has a degree in that can teach how to pass the ball is far outdated. The principles of the game have evolved. Look, and I was listening to Coach here, and for the uninitiated, you will still be fixated with taxes and all of those things, but Coach knows that the game has moved past those principles. These days, the complexities lie with positioning, spatial awareness, creating space. Space is the most important thing in the game.
Of course.
How they can stretch teams, create space. If the teams that are able to control...
How do you take a shot? How do you make an assist if you don't have enough space?
And teams are able to manipulate spaces, not necessarily because they have the best tactics, but they are able to coach games, manage games, and they have trained players to be able to think and react to real-time in-game scenarios. Yeah. That is something we don't have in Ghana. Look, within the next couple of weeks...
don't have the education.
Within the next couple of weeks, we're going to hear names like Prosper Natiogu. These are not world-class coaches. We need world-class coaches to coach the Black Stars.
And
Prosper
not necessarily
Ogum,
the Black
CK
Stars, to be
Akuno,
honest.
and all of these.
You mentioned a key thing. We also even need world-class coaches at youth level.
So that was why I mentioned the Right to Dream example.
Yeah.
So that the next time, some of your best talents you have produced in a decade will not be told that they are not good enough because they don't have the basics. And that is the situation of Abdul Fattah Issahaku and Daniel Efruyebania. Fattah Issahaku has been lucky. He had a year, someone took a chance on him, and now things are working out for him. And we're beginning to see him play in a way that has left all of us saying, maybe we misprofiled this guy. But this kid went through the Ghanaian education system, primary, JSS, started playing, I don't know if he played coast football, but lower tier football. In all of our minds, Fattah Issahaku is a number 10. But we're seeing him play at wing back to devastating effects. Or we're seeing him play on the right side as an inside forward, as a right winger. If various coaches at Steadfast, Dreams FC, our under 15, under 17, under 20, from private to national team coaches, nobody was able to identify the problem with this kid, then we have a problem. So the government needs to realize that beyond the infrastructure that they are trying to roll out, find a way of connecting that to talent education. Have a plan for talent education. Have a plan for training instructors at the basic level so that in each district, you know that we have this number of people teaching our kids football, right? So that after 2 or 3 years, we know from this pool, we are choosing these guys to form a regional team. And then the best of those can form a national team. This whole, and there's no other way to put it, this whole concept that 200 players, 4 batches of 50 have to go to Pram to go and train for a week. Justify for a week. And then the coach, it is rubbish.
That concept is gone.
It's gone.
You know,
just let me finish.
Yeah.
So we need to find a more scientific approach to this. Look, we've been playing games about the sports bill and the funding components. If you have a plan, if you have a policy that is holistic, that is clear and unambiguous, you know at each stage what your objectives are, what it will cost for you to realize those objectives, right? Within what time frame? And based on that, you are able to speak properly to the conversation of the sports fund and then say, this is how much we need annually. Not just money to pay compensations and salaries and co, but based on the projects that we're embarking on, this is how much we will need. And so we need to raise this much. And these are the avenues of revenue generation. We cannot continue running football in this country the way we...
Throwing money at the blaster.
It's a complete waste. Look, we just published the stories of how much it cost Ghana for the qualifiers.
Exactly. We spent $1.5 million in qualifying to this particular Afcon tournament. We haven't added how much we spent at the actual Afcon tournament. Meanwhile, judging from what we spent at the last Afcon in Cameroon, which was $2.5 million, if, let's say, ceteris paribus, we spent the same amount of money at this particular Afcon, then it means that we've spent $4 million just for going to, just to go to Cote d'Ivoire and embarrass and disgrace ourselves.
But that's not even possible because this time we sent more funds.
There you go.
To Cote d'Ivoire.
And then gave everybody $400 as well. Meanwhile, at the Afcon, even if you go to the quarterfinal stage, you get $1.3 million. We spent $4 million going and getting embarrassed and then exiting at the group stages. And this is what we do all the time. We don't invest in the preparation. We don't invest in the in anything at all, and we don't add value to the people. But when the tournament comes around, we go and spend too much money and make lofty, hefty promises. Africa Games is coming. Okay, we sent athletes to camp in Cape Coast only last weekend, 40 days to the Africa Games. All right, the Ghana Olympic Committee says they need $50,000 just to prepare athletes for the Africa Games, which we are hosting. Okay, the Minister of Youth and Sports says they don't have $50,000, but they were ready to pay over $30,000 to each player if they made it out of the group stages at the Afcon. What is wrong with us?
And $60,000 to each member of the coaching staff.
Yes, each coaching staff member would have taken $60,000. What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? Meanwhile, the Africa Games, which we are hosting, we have gone to set a lofty target for our athletes that we want to finish in the top 5 on the medal table. You know what it takes to finish in the top 5 in the medal table at the Africa Games? You need to win at least 100 medals. In fact, Egypt, who topped the medal table the last time out, got 259 medals. You want to put a guess on how many medals we got at the Africa Games the last time around? 13, which means in order for us to get 100 medals and possibly finish in that top 5, we need to make a swing of 87 more medals. We have no plan in place for that swing to win 87 more medals, and yet wait for the games to come around. Then we'll go and promise the people that we'll pay everybody $10,000 if you win a gold medal. You have not invested in the preparation, and you've gone to promise that you would give people a certain amount of money if they win gold medal. You wait for it. It will happen. They will go and promise that they will give them $10,000 if you win a gold medal, knowing full well that they will not win the gold medal because they know they didn't invest in the people's preparations. What is wrong with that? That is wickedness. Speaking of wickedness, Mauritania are very wicked. Yesterday, they kicked out tournament favorites, or one of the tournament favorites, 2019 champions Algeria. They won by 1-0. Senegal obviously topped the group with their 2-0 win.
Why do we still refer to Algeria as pre-tournament favorites for this one, especially after what they did?
The assumption was they learned their lesson from the last time.
After how they qualified for this tournament?
Yeah, they finished on the same point as, I think, there was another team in their group that gave them a really tough fight.
Controversially, the final game, I think in September against Uganda, had a very dodgy goal awarded them. And that was why Micho Sredovic, the Ugandan coach, spoke in very strong terms yesterday after Algeria's elimination was confirmed. But Amir Abdul, the Mauritanian coach, Ghanaian fans would remember him. Against Comoros in Cameroon, he led them to beat the Black Stars by 3-2. And last night again, Mauritania's very first win at the Afcon over Algeria.
It's a giant slayer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Angola also beat Burkina Faso 2-0, but both teams have progressed to the knockout rounds.
Yeah.
The Gambia lost to Cameroon. It was a dramatic game. We'll show you the highlights of that game very shortly. By 3-2, Cameroon needed to score very, very late. But Senegal, the only team to qualify to the knockout rounds with a 100% record, they won all 3 matches, 9 points out of 9, 3 wins out of 3. And they look set. They look like they could possibly become the first country to defend their title since Egypt's three-peat, 2006, 2008, and 2010. Karim has been looking at how that could possibly happen. And where is Karim? Please come over here and just show us quickly.
He has to make
what he's been looking at.
He has to make a 90-degree arc.
How are you, my brother?
I'm doing okay.
Senegal, what's going on? What have you got for us? Because they look very impressive indeed at this Afcon.
Yes, they are deadly. I was in here yesterday because of the Black Stars.
Yeah. No wahala. No wahala. Okay, let's get on with it then.
We are creeping, and Senegal are looking like a well-oiled machine, attempting to do something no defending champion has done since 2010. That is Egypt winning the title 3 times. So I'm looking at them qualifying to the knockout stages as the only team winning all their 3 games, becoming the second team with the highest number of goals, 3, and becoming just one of 4 teams to concede just 1 goal. And looking at their run, Opta has predicted that they are the favorites ahead of this tournament. What I'm going to look at is the last 6 winners and how they perform in the next tournament after winning the title. So let's start with Egypt and their run in 2012. After winning the 3 titles, they didn't qualify for the 2012 tournament and the 2013 on, back-to-back. So what happened and they didn't qualify? They finished bottom of their qualifying group, a group that has Niger, Burkina Faso, and Sierra Leone, but still they finished bottom. What happened? Around that 2010, 2013, their league was suspended, and we know that they heavily depend on their league for their national team because of some stadium disaster that saw about 74 people die. Then in 2013, Zambia shocked everyone and won it in 2012. And they qualified again in 2013, but exited at the group stage. If it was now, in that 2013, they could have possibly been progressing as one of the third best placed teams because they drew all their group matches and were third with 3 points. They were in that group with Nigeria, who also won the 2013 tournament. But curiously,
2015.
yes,
and we're supposed to come to 2015 as defending champions.
Yes,
but
curiously, they didn't qualify. What happened? In the final game of qualifying, they had the opportunity of qualifying as one of third base placed teams because there were 7 groups with 2 teams qualifying as the and the third best finisher qualifying. They needed a win to qualify ahead of DRC. But they said, no, we are Nigeria. We never carry last, but that one.
They carried last.
This one.
So they didn't come back in 2015?
They drew the final game 2-2 to South Africa and didn't qualify. Then 2017
and that tournament
in 2015, Ivory Coast
Cote d'Ivoire beat Ghana to win.
On penalties to win.
Came to 2017 as defending
champions and didn't go out of the group stages. And
wow,
there's only one team in this run, from the last 6 winners, there's only one team that has gotten to the round of 16, and that is Cameroon. The rest, 2 didn't qualify, 3 exited at the group stages. Senegal, they got knocked out in the round of 16 by Nigeria in that 2017. They were in the same group with Ghana. And then Algeria, the team that
in
2019, a lot of people had expectations for them, but in 6 Afcon, since winning the title in 2019, they've not won a game. In 6 games, they've accumulated 3 points, conceded 8 goals, and scored just 4. That is how worse it is. And Senegal, as we've spoken about them, they are on course. Looking at how they are playing and the quality of players, the decisions their coach is making, looks like it's going to be possible for them to surpass that quarterfinal barrier that the defending champions have been having since 2010.
All right, interesting. Thank you very much, Karim. So we'll see whether Senegal will be able to defend their title. But this is confirmation of the teams that are going to qualify for the round of 16. This is the ranking of the third place team. So Guinea will make it through. They got 4 points. Mauritania have qualified as well. Cote d'Ivoire have qualified. I can confirm that. Namibia as well have an opportunity. Karim, thank you very much. They said you can go. Yes, I am. And you know, so that's that. I'll show you the fixtures for this. So you see why Ghana is out. You got only 2 points. You have no chance of coming here. So Ghana is out completely. All right. Now, with these teams in 3-3-3, Mauritania for sure have qualified. They have a goal difference of +1. Yeah. Is it +1? No, -1. -1. Cote d'Ivoire have a goal difference of -3. And Namibia have a goal difference of -3 as well. Now, Zambia is the only other team with a chance to qualify to the knockout rounds. Let me show you the fixtures. Now, Zambia play against Morocco. Now, if Zambia were to get a win, where are they? Yeah. If Zambia were to beat Morocco, it will take them to 4 points, I believe. They have 1 win, 1 defeat. Yep. So it would... No, they actually have 2 points, didn't they? They have 2 points, so they have 2 draws. So if they were to beat Morocco, then they would qualify. In fact, that would mean that Zambia go up to 5 points above Morocco. Yeah. But Morocco already have 4 points. So that means that, okay, I'm sorry. But so that means that they will go, in fact, so that means now Namibia will get kicked out. Yeah. And then what would happen is that Morocco would now finish here. Yeah. The Mauritania below them, then Cote d'Ivoire, and then Namibia will be eliminated.
Ivory Coast take the last.
Because Zambia would qualify automatically, so they would not. They will no longer need this. Yeah. So these are the games coming up. South Africa have 3 points themselves. Tunisia have no win. Yeah. So if Tunisia need to qualify, they need to beat South Africa,
and then they get the automatic slots.
No,
they're on the points. Yeah, because they lost to Namibia.
Yeah, they did. So they have a point. Thank you. The only way they qualify is to beat South Africa. If they beat South Africa, who have 3 points, they are out.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. that is some game, huh?
Very tight.
Quick prediction?
That's a tough one, you know, because South Africa themselves are not playing too well. Tunisia are very not convincing as well.
Prediction, Kojo?
I think it could...
I say Tunisia win. I don't think South Africa have the temperament.
No.
I don't.
They've bottled it on too many occasions for us to trust them. Tunisia win.
Namibia, Mali. Mali already should. Namibia have 3 points right now.
Yeah.
And look, a draw could be enough for them. Do you think they will get something from this game? I believe so.
I don't think so. The way Mali plays takes away a lot of liberties from opponents.
All right, Achu. DR Congo, quick, we have only 30 seconds. DR Congo, Tanzania.
DR Congo.
DR Congo win. And you get Morocco, Zambia.
Definitely Morocco.
Morocco win?
Yeah, Morocco win.
Okay, so Zambia getting kicked out according to Kojo. Anyway, so that's our show for today on Afcon Today. My name is Fento Tahir Fento. The show is proudly sponsored by MTN. MTN everywhere you go. We're live on Joy 99.7 FM, on the Joy News channel, as well as on Joy Prime TV channel. Of course, Achu and Kojo were my guests. Show produced by Sheikh Mubarak Haruna. Until next time, though, thanks for watching.
Hello everyone, this afternoon on the marketplace, a human rights court in Accra dismisses application by Dr. Kwesi Ndum and GN Bank over the revocation of the bank's license. Also coming up, Africa Center for Energy Policy describes decision to impose VAT on electricity consumers as ill-timed.
What we need to focus on is making sure that those who are not paying pay. We are able to account for the power that is generated. We have the systems to do that. And once you be able to clean up that space and being able to optimize the tariff so that it is much more less burdensome.
And World Bank Board approves $300 million for Ghana to support some budgetary projects and stabilize the economy. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. And thanks for being with us, everyone. A human rights court in Accra has dismissed the application of Dr. Kwesi Ndum and GN Bank over the revocation of the bank's license. According to the court, the Bank of Ghana's action was reasonable and not actuated by malice. Court correspondent Richard Kojinyako joins us on phone with more on that. Richard, what transpired in court today?
From the broader scale, and when the case was called, the court indicated that the Bank of Ghana was carrying out its lawful mandate in the interest of the shareholders and the larger interest of the public and could not be faulted. In fact, after the court declared that the applicant had the requisite capacity and had properly invoked the jurisdiction of the court, the judge proceeded to deal substantively the issues of one, discrimination raised by Dr. Papakwe and the GN Savings and Loans through unreasonable behavior they claim exhibited by the Bank of Ghana, and three, unfairness and violation of the administrative rights of the applicant. But on the issue, so let's take them one after the other. On the issue of administrative right violation, the applicant, that is the Dr. Papakwe and the GN Savings and Loans, asserted that an honest assessment by the Bank of Ghana would have proved that GN Savings and Loans was solvent, contrary to the Bank of Ghana's assertion that the entity was not solvent. In fact, they claim that if the debt owed them by government was paid, the capital adequacy ratio would have been met. So this is a quotation. If the Bank of Ghana had taken into consideration the financial circumstances of the company and the fact that government owed them, they would have seen that the company was solvent. That's the lawyer for the GN Savings and Loans and Dr. Papakwe Sindom. So the applicant's dissatisfaction on the basis of miscalculation, they said that the Bank of Ghana miscalculated the thing because they should have taken into consideration the amount of money government owed them. And so based on that, the administrative body, such as the Bank of Ghana, was unfair, unreasonable, and irrational in its administrative functions, and they have no reason to bring it to the Human Rights Court. So that was the first one. But this leg of the argument by Dr. Papakwe and group, and then the GN Savings and Loans was dismissed by the court, and so they proceeded to the other one where they said that there was an issue of discrimination, the fact that the Bank of Ghana discriminated against them. According to them, they had targeted them in revoking their license. But the respondent, that is the Bank of Ghana, said that they were simply carrying out their mandate, and within that space of time, there were other entities and banks that they closed them down. So it couldn't be possible, and they cannot be crying about discrimination. The fact that other banks and other deposition companies were also closed down at the same time. And so that one, the judge indicated that that one too had to be dismissed. And then it came to the property, the fact that they had to also hold on to their property, and the bank also dismissed them. And so all in all, the application filed by Dr. Papakwe in its entirety was dismissed by the Human Rights Court.
Any reactions from both sides to the ruling of the court?
Well, so I've been speaking to the camp of Dr. Papakwe, and they are some at the decision of the Human Rights Court, and they have indicated that they would want to go on appeal. They would have to appeal the decision of the matter. But on the bank of the on the front of the Bank of Ghana, they expressed excitement, and they were looking for costs to be awarded against Dr. Papakwe and the GM Bank. And so these are the reactions from both camps.
All right, thanks for the update. Richard Koyonyako, our call correspondent there, appreciate it. On X, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, has reiterated the need to improve efficiency in the collection of bills rather than introduce value-added tax on electricity consumption. ASEP argues that blocking the current financial leakages in the system would greatly impact the financial position of the Electricity Company of Ghana. The Executive Director, Ben Boache, said burdening the consumer now with taxes is ill-timed.
That additional tax on consumers, who are about 30-35% of the total consuming populace, I don't think is going to shift anything. What we need to focus on is making sure that those who are not paying pay. We are able to account for the power that is generated. We have the systems to do that. And once you be able to clean up that space and being able to optimize the tariff so that it is much more less burdensome on the people, then you can then go into these kinds of things to see how do we generate more revenue. Otherwise, you only have a few credible consumers who are always taking the bullet. They're always taking the higher tariffs.
Professor of Finance at the Andrews University, Williams Pepper, he's got an article on the ECG situation titled Strategic Restructuring for Efficiency, proposing the division and partial privatization of Ghana's ECG on the GSC for improved performance and financial stability. You can check it out on myjoyonline.com/business. Good afternoon to you from here, Prof. You say you're not surprised that despite an increase in the selling price of electricity, rather saw a decline in the revenue of ECG, and the incoming 15% VAT on electricity charge will only worsen the financial situation of the company. How so? You're muted. We cannot hear you, Prof. I don't know what the issue is, but we are trying to resolve that technical issue with Professor Williams-Wipra on the ECG issue. We're going to stick with that because the Ghana Chamber of Mines is asking the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to proceed with its planned policy of revoking value-added tax on mineral exploration in Ghana. The Trades Union Congress yesterday criticized the sector minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, for making commitments to withdraw the revenue measure at the time Ghanaians are being charged a 15% value-added tax on electricity consumption above lifeline levels. The TUC says all governments around the world would rather, in times of crisis, rake in more revenue from gold and entire minerals. The entire minerals sector. Dr. Alban is Secretary General of the TUC. Let's listen to what he said.
Well, let me explain to you again when we are talking about exploration. There are various phases of mining. So you start with exploration. And that phase of exploration, you don't have revenue because you're exploring, as the name connotes. So you are now looking for it. You drill here, you take samples, you take it to the laboratory, you do the analysis. Is it good enough? No, it is not good enough. Oh, I think let me find here, statistically based upon experience, let me look here, let me take a drill rig and drill and find out what is there. Take it to the...
Union leaders preparing to give a showdown to government. The Trades Union Congress, the umbrella body for all labor associations in Ghana, say they are unhappy about government's latest decision to impose a 15% value-added tax on energy consumers above lifeline levels. The Trades Union Congress says many of their members who are already overburdened with taxes will be slapped with additional charges after the imposition of this new levy. Dr. Anthony Alban is Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress.
It is worth noting that 30 kilowatts hour of electricity allows the lifeline customers to use only 3 LED bulbs, one electric iron, 1 television, and 1 fan. You know, and I want to emphasize that this 30 kilowatts hour thing, lifeline, it was 50 since the early 90s. Then in 2022, PURC changed it from 50 to 30. They did it quietly. We note that since 2022, electricity tariffs have gone up by 73%. So in 2021, if you were paying 100 Ghana cedis, now that same customer is paying 173 Ghana cedis.
But there's a caution to government, a threat of labor unrest if government fails to totally reverse the policy.
So today, organized labor, we have come together again, and our message to government is very simple. We cannot pay.
But responding to the concerns, the Ghana Chamber of Mines said it will be engaging the TUC to educate them on their advocacy on the reversal of value-added tax on mining exploration. Chief Executive Suleiman Kone tells JoyNews' Blessed Soga that it is near criminal for anyone to impose taxes on investors' money being used for a highly risky venture of minerals exploration. He explains why.
There are various phases of mining. So you start with exploration. And that phase of exploration, you don't have revenue because you're exploring, as the name connotes. So you are now looking for it. You drill here, you take samples, you take it to the laboratory, you do the analysis. Is it good enough? No, it is not good enough. oh, I think let me find here, statistically based upon experience, let me look here, let me take a drill rig and drill and find out what is there, take it to the laboratory, do the assaying. And so that phase of mining, there's no revenue. So where is the profit coming from? There are a number of companies who have come to this country. And when I'm talking about companies, not just foreign companies. In fact, if you go to Minerals Commission, about 50% of the exploration tenements are held by Ghanaians. You understand what I'm talking about? So for us, it is not a white investor or a black investor. We are talking about that phase of mining, how critical it is for the future of our economy, of our country. And all we are saying that for that phase of mining, there's no revenue. So this is expensive capital coming into the country. And even before they make a commercial find, you are standing at the gate and saying, no, give me so much of it. And we are saying morally, ethically, and that's about 20%, a little above that, of that amount which has to go into exploration. Ethically, morally, it is wrong.
Okay. But I'm sure you've listened to the Trade Union Congress. You watched them address the press yesterday. If there's a response to them or an education sort of, if you want to put it that way, on the situation, what would you tell them based on the concerns they are raising?
I think we would love to have more intimate conversations with them. The mineral resources belong to all of us. And ideally, we should all have a say regarding how these resources are actually, managed. Unfortunately, it's not everybody who has the understanding of the industry, and that's why we do a lot of advocacy. So our expectation is that they could come close to us, or we would even reach out to them and say, look, let's have a conversation. We are talking about a dedicated phase of mining, which is exploration. If indeed we believe that mining is important to us, sometimes we make the argument, without mining, probably our exchange rate will be around 15 or even more than that. Because when you are talking about gross merchandise export, we've been number one for so many years. Even when you add other segments of the other sectors of the economy, whether it is cocoa, oil and gas, they pale into insignificance compared to the mining industry. I guess the probability of making a commercial find is so low. So for me, it is near criminal even to say that you bring your investment capital into the country, whether a foreigner or not, start exploration, and then even before you even make a commercial find, government is at the door and say, pay VAT on it. I don't think that is a good thing to do for our country. And I think it's a good thing for government to revisit this subject matter. At the end of the day, we'll have the dividends through the payment of corporate taxes, royalties, and employment, and even overall value retention within the country. If you are talking about local content, yesterday we had a conference about local content. Would you talk about local content if we don't have exploration? Like I said, all else depends on successful exploration. So everything we are talking about in the industry, all the linkages, the corporate social investment, everything relies on exploration. And I think it's important that we have a reprieve for that segment of mining.
Well, next, the World Bank Board has approved $300 million to help support some budgetary projects and stabilize Ghana's economy. The support, which comes under the Development Policy Operation, is expected to help Ghana's economic recovery and finance some projects identified in the budget. George Afigya has more.
World Bank Board says this is the first of several support that will be advanced to Ghana to aid in the recovery of the economy. This $300 million should also go a long way to help restore fiscal sustainability, improve energy sector financing in the country. The World Bank, by this support, is also looking at how domestic revenue can be improved, as well as controlling expenditure. The bank also has the view that it should help in restoring fiscal and debt sustainability that would help in curbing inflation in the country. The disbursement follows Ghana's passing of the first review under the IMF program last Friday by the executive board of the fund. The development should mean that almost $1 billion should hit government of Ghana's accounts at the Bank of Ghana before the end of this month. That is more than $600 million from the IMF, and then there's $300 million from the World Bank Group. Joy Business also understands that other donor partners are expected to meet in the coming weeks and approve some additional financing for Ghana to help stabilize the economy.
Bank of Ghana's international reserves have witnessed some significant increase after more than $600 million was credited to its account yesterday. It It was a transfer from the International Monetary Fund as part of a $3 billion extended credit facility program. The executive board of the fund last Friday approved the disbursement after the country successfully passed the first review under the fund program. This may go a long way to put the Bank of Ghana in a strong position to support the local currency. Now, Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, JIPC, Afigya, says a digitalized informal sector will enhance revenue identification and collection. According to him, the new global tax law will create the needed tax equity for both foreign and domestic businesses. He has been speaking to journalists in Accra.
Yes, I mean, tax is a sovereign right of every country, and every country charges taxes. And on the joking side, I mean, any tax is always a problem everywhere because we believe that we are overtaxed. But indeed, I think what has triggered this response is the fact that our tax administration has become a bit more aggressive. But if you compare to other jurisdictions, you'd wonder why our tax rates is so low, probably less than 16% of GDP compared to the OECD where it's over 25%, and even some of our peers in West Africa, which is above 16%. And so you say that then there must be a gap somewhere. Now there are two ways: either we are not collecting the right taxes, or we haven't widened our net enough to be able to collect the taxes. But as I mentioned to you, the structure of our economy makes it difficult when 85% of your economy is SMEs and SMIs, and a lot of them are informal. And so with digitalization, the view is that we can formalize them and then collect the right taxes and broaden the tax net, as well as collect the right taxes. And I think that is what's important. And in that sphere, I'm not sure the investors are saying they won't pay taxes. No, they will pay taxes. And there's the new global tax law, which says that regardless of where you are, you should pay a minimum tax of 15%. So the question is that they will be taxed.
While you're watching the marketplace, time for the Joy Business Advisory Series. We have been treating topics on financial planning and budgeting to get you prepared to manage your finances in 2024. But one thing you should also plan is to manage your debt. So here to speak with us about effective debt management is Osei Owusu-Ansam Jr., who is Senior Manager, Strategy and Operations at KPMG. Great to have you in the studio. Welcome to the marketplace. So what is effective debt management in simple terms?
Thank you very much, Carol, for having me. And, I think we've spoken about part of it with government and then IMF trying to restructure.
Yeah, a lot.
Exactly. And that also applies to individuals as well. So when we talk about effective debt management, what we are trying to say is how do you organize, control, and utilize debt, right? To make sure that you are able to achieve your financial objectives whilst minimizing your financial risk. So we are saying managing because some people tend to see debt as something bad, right? But debt in itself is not bad. It's a tool towards achieving your financial objective. But we are talking about how you optimize it such that you don't put yourself in distress levels, but then you manage it to enable you achieve your financial objectives.
Yeah, so what's the importance of effective debt management? How does it improve one's personal financial well-being?
So debt management it's important, and it's not just about financial well-being, but I think the total well-being of the individual. So just imagine someone owing a lot of people. They tend to even avoid phone calls because it puts their blood pressure up. So effective debt management gives you financial stability. It makes you stable financially. And what financial stability here means is not a lot of money in your account, but then you are able to predict how much is coming in, how much is going out.
Okay.
It helps maintain relationships. You realize that for individuals, a lot of loans we take are soft loans from family, from friends, and all. If you manage your debt effectively and make due your obligations, it helps you maintain those relationships, and it helps towards achieving an overall well-being of the individual.
So what are the debts individuals struggle with, and how can they be managed?
Okay, so I will look at maybe three broad categories. So the first will be auto loans, and I think a lot of people would resort to loans when they are trying to purchase their first vehicle, right? Because it wouldn't make sense for you to save money in an economy like ours. So the first would be the auto loans, and for auto loans, it's one of the things you have to be very cautious of in terms of how you manage it. Affordability when it comes to auto loans goes beyond your ability to be able to pay the loan, but then to be able to service the vehicle as well. So when you are looking at your ability to take an auto loan, look at the servicing aspect as well. So let's consider someone who, for example, lives at East Legon and then maybe works at airport. The person does not meet any potholes. The person probably doesn't even travel outside of Accra, but maybe driving a four-wheel, which he's struggling to maintain and even service. Maybe one of the options you would want to look at is trading it in for a more affordable option, or refinancing the loan by paying off when you receive some windfall cash. Another one we can look at is mortgage. And mortgage is one of the struggles, especially in the current volatility in our economy. When someone takes a mortgage, they have two risks to manage: the interest rate risk and then the exchange rate risk, right? So when you take up a mortgage, what you have to do is to constantly stress test your ability to pay the mortgage. So what stress test here means is look at the various scenarios in terms of these two variables, in terms of how they can change. So looking at exchange rate and interest rate, how bad can it get? Will I be able to service it when it gets that bad? Look at depreciation of the cedi. How bad can it get? Will I be able to service it when it gets bad? Then we can look at personal loans. And personal loans is probably the trickiest one of all, to say, what do I take personal loans for? So maybe as a rule of thumb, whatever you are taking a personal loan for, the return you are getting from it should exceed how much you are paying for the loan in terms of interest. And when we talk about that, you would want to limit it to needs and not wants, right? So when you look at people making purchases just because another business has made a decision to run a sale or buy now, pay later, you take a loan to service that. And when it comes to needs, let's look at certain things like rent and then maybe delivery of a baby.
Right.
Are these things you should take personal loans for? Because you have some time to plan for it.
And prepare.
So exactly, and prepare for it. So in order to avoid some of these debt distress, you would want to plan effectively around these three broad categories to be able to.
Yeah, talk to us a bit more about some of the obstacles people encounter in managing their debt.
Right. So one of the key things, and I keep relating it to the current economic situation, is the interest rate hikes. So if you realized from 2022 to 2023, people who had personal loans with banks had their repayments restructured somehow. So they had to now pay the loan for a longer tenor, and some of them actually had their repayment amount increased, right?
Okay.
So that's one of the key things when you cannot predict or plan around exchange rate or interest rate hikes. So the other key thing when it comes to looking at debt management as an obstacle is financial literacy. Do people know the kind of products available to them? So for example, do I walk into a bank, take a personal loan and to purchase a vehicle, or I look out for banks that have specific products for auto loans, where maybe I would have to contribute a part of it and then finance it maybe at a cheaper option than personal loans. So these are some of the obstacles. And then our inability to be disciplined financially. Like I mentioned, the fact that someone is running a sale does not constitute a need on your end as an individual. If you don't need it, the fact that it's on sale doesn't mean you should get it. People would go through extents to be able to afford. So these are some of the obstacles when it comes to financial
so in 30 seconds, because I have a feeling we're going to have you tomorrow as well to talk about, but we can't finish everything today. What are some of the strategies to effective debt management?
So the first thing you would want to do is to understand your debt position. Where are you at any point in time in terms of your debt obligations? And when people are looking at their debt obligations, they tend to overlook soft loans family and friends have given them. When it comes to paying off loans, I typically would say pay off loans that you can easily access the next time. And this is typically loans from your family and friends. So prioritize those loans. After you've determined your debt position, put a plan around it.
Right.
Which one should I pay first? So you see the banks running a promotion to mobilize deposits because they get deposits cheaper from us. So pay the cheaper ones first. Pay the one which has your credibility at stake first.
Okay.
Then you can manage around the others and then keep planning and monitoring those repayments.
We are going to continue this conversation tomorrow. I'm sure there's plenty more to talk about. Osei Usansa Jr., Senior Manager Strategy and Operations at KPMG, I appreciate your time. That's the marketplace. More news on our website, ijoyonline.com/business. The day's latest stories over there. And thanks for watching. We'll see you same time tomorrow.
As for the marriage, you get the certificate before you get into the marriage, so you don't know what is ahead of you.
What would make your partner walk out of the relationship?
Probably when he finds me cheating. No.
So, but I don't know if you handle the body or what. What's his waist size?
When I get home, I'll explain it.
Also, Papa, 2 years or so, and 3 years ago, I can say, I can't pray.
And you want to go into politics? You want to go into politics? Not 5 years. Not 5 years.
Right. If you love me right.
Exceptional. Tarmo Peltokoski from Finland is just 23 and already a star conductor. Excursions. How the average German likes to spend their vacation. Exquisite. We get pro tips on which sauce to pair with which pasta. These stories and more coming up on Euromax. Finnish conductor Tarmo Peltokoski is the rising star of the classical music world. At 23, he's already at the helm of the Latvian National Symphony Orchestra. We met him to find out about his path to the podium.
I was 11 years old, and I happened to watch a YouTube video of the very ending of Siegfried. I and Wagner were simply made for each other. I mean, it's such a cliche, but it was kind of a love at first sight.
23-year-old Tarmo Peltokoski has found success as the world's youngest star conductor. He's currently in Riga, the capital of Latvia, where Richard Wagner also once directed opera. Wagner was German, Peltokoski is Finnish. In Riga, he's conducting the Latvian National Symphony Orchestra. And it just so happens that they are rehearsing Wagner.
It's kind of an honor to be here and do his music. I came here for the first time in January of 2022. Well, I'm still in the beginning, so I'm getting to know the people and the place.
Let's play it again. This is a fantastic symphonic fresco. It's one of the most glorious Zwischenspiels in the history of drama. You need to be excited about it. It's your thing.
They're rehearsing Siegfried, the very same Wagner opera that Peltokoski was so enthralled by as a boy. And now he's conducting it himself. Everything needs to come together for the performance in 2 weeks. Every tempo, accent, and of course, the chemistry.
For conductor age of 20, 21, 22, it's really, it's very young.
Well, I don't feel young.
But he spent half of his life in music.
I do my thing, and musicians are professionals.
He is all in music.
I know music, I can conduct, that's what I do.
Everything is absolutely clear for him. What is he doing? Why is he doing that way?
I hope they do their best as well, and if they don't, then I might say a few words.
And he can do more than conduct. Tarmo Peltokoski first made a name for himself as a pianist. He began playing when he was 8.